the last part right now, let me just explain what we did. We answered 3 questions, didn't we? About making disciples. First question we answered is why? And I should get black, right? Where's my... It's probably in my pocket or something. Oh, there you go. Sweet. Do that again. Why do we make disciples, right? And what was the answer? It's our identity. 2 Corinthians 5, right? It's who we are. We're new, we're ambassadors. The other question, so that was one. The other question we dealt with, what was it? What do you remember? Who? Who do we share with? Who do I start with? Who? And what was the answer? Oikos. Our household, our relational network, the relationships God has placed around us sovereignly. He put us in those relationships. That's where we start. What was the third question? What did we write down? Oh, we didn't write it down. How? Yeah, it's okay. We'll add it in. The third question is how. How do you have a gospel conversation, right? If I know why I make disciples, if I know who I'm praying for and reaching out to, how do I actually start, right? And that was very simple. 3 questions, 3 circles, and 3 questions. How can I pray for you? Pray for them. You near or far from God? Can I show you a picture? 3 circles, conversation guide. Can be short, can be long, can be interactive, right? You're walking through the important parts of the gospel. And 3 questions. Where are you? Hey, where do you want to be? And what's keeping you from the next step? And we're going to deal with the 4th and most important question is when? When are you going to make time in your calendar to make disciples? Because if this is something that we just take in as information, but we don't put into practice in our lives, then we missed out, right? Yeah. So when are you going to make time? We call this, is kind of like a first lesson for anybody. We call it the 411, or the first lesson, and that's 4 questions, 1 sheet of paper. I'll explain that in a sec. In 1 hour. Or less. So usually we'll just grab a piece of paper, and what we'll do is you take a regular sheet of paper, fold it in half, right? So you make hamburger style, not a hot dog, right? So you got a little booklet sort of, and you got 4 pages, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And first one is you deal with why, you draw that picture, right? Second one, who. The other page. Third one, how, when. And as you walk through this with somebody, you spend time to help them practice. 50% of your hour or so training somebody in the 411, whether they're a new believer or existing believer that's willing to be equipped, you spend not just modeling it, showing it very simply, but have them tell it back to you. Right? When you do your oikos, you don't just help them to make their oikos map. You say, here's my map too. Let's spend a minute and just lift these names up to God and ask God to save them, to God to work, right? When you do the 3 circles, 3 questions, 3 circles, 3 questions, you don't just show them, you spend time practicing so that they have it ready, they have it on their lips so they know how to start that conversation. And the 4th one is when, and you help them to set some goals that some goals to get started, okay? So let's do that now. So make sure you got some paper. We're going to answer the question when. Okay? So first question is, I'll just write when here. First, I'm going to draw a little dude praying here. You don't have to draw people. I was in India. I pretty much wrote in hieroglyphs because people spoke like 6 or 5 languages, and none of them were English. so that's a little praying guy. Pray. Oh, that's not, see? And that's why I can't write either, because no practice. Pray. For your oikos. So, what is the time of day that you're going to put on your calendar, and that if you got a smartphone right now, you can set that reminder that you will take out your oikos map and you will pray for those people. Could be really quick, could be really simple, could be in the shower, at a stoplight, or during your time with the Lord in Bible study and devotional time. So write this down, and have a time, think of a time, write down a time that you want to commit to pray for people in your life who are far from God. The second question is practice. (411). Okay? It's not enough just to do it here and you had some practice, but do any of you here know like another Christian? Does anyone not know another believer that's like you know that you're safe with? Okay? All right. Think of at least like one person in the next 2 weeks. Think of one person that you can practice with. And say, hey, I'll learn this thing, how to make disciples, and it just takes about an hour. Could I practice with you? And train them, right, as you practice, right, what we just did. Walk through why, who, how. Set goals with them. Okay? Write down a name. Someone safe that you can practice the 411 with. Okay? Third question. There's 3 circles here. Is share. Think of a couple names or a time during your week that you will intentionally offer to pray with someone who might be far from God. And see if God opens up a door for a gospel conversation. All right? Think of a couple names of people you know who you interact with, that you meet with, that you can just simply say, hey, I've started praying for you. I don't know how to pray for you. In fact, I'm sorry, I don't think I've ever asked how I could pray for you. Is there any way I could be praying for you? See if there's openness. Pray with them. Ask, are you near or far? Can I show you a picture? See if there's openness, right? So think of a couple names. If you don't have names, think of a time when you can intentionally you have a little bit of flexibility to just approach people that you know or that you have some kind of knowledge of and just offer to pray for them. And the last one is, how do I want to word it? Start. We'll call it commands of Christ. So remember the Great Commission, we started with that. Jesus said, teach them to obey, to observe everything I've commanded. When he said, go and make disciples. So how do you make disciples? Teach them to obey what Jesus commanded, right? That's pretty simple. Yeah. There's like a lot of books that like really go deep into like answering that question. And there's a lot of people you can ask that can be really confused. Like, hey, how do you make a disciple? It's pretty easy, right? You help them to obey Jesus, right? So how do you journey with someone in helping someone to follow Jesus' commands? Like Jesus' simple commands like pray and share and abide in me and things like that. Is you need to be in some kind of group or some kind of place where you're practicing obeying Jesus' commands and teaching it to others. So I want you to think of, is there a group, a time, a place, or people that you can be thinking about going through the basic commands of Jesus together? So that you're growing as a disciple and you're also learning how to train other people to grow as a disciple in obeying Jesus. Okay? Is there a group? Maybe it's an already existing group. Maybe there's a time, there's a place. Okay? Makes sense? So, when you're done putting out your goals, I want you to share your goals with your buddy and pray for each other and pray for boldness. Okay? Don't pray for opportunity. Because you don't need to pray for that. There's opportunities all over the place, right? Like, if you know a believer, you have someone to practice with. If you know someone far from God or know a time where you can find people far from God, you have that opportunity. You can make time for prayer. Opportunity isn't the issue, it's boldness. So share your goals with one another and pray for boldness. And then after that, we'll finish this out.